Hey guys, welcome back to the bait shop. Today we're going to talk about finesse fishing with ADHD. Um, for me, when I started out finesse fishing, I thought it was boring, slow. I just didn't have a lot of fun doing it because I wanted to be on the go all the time. Um, if you stick around with me, I'll give you some tips and tricks to help you out. So, like I said in the intro, finesse fishing just wasn't my thing for a while. I did come up with some tips and tricks that might help you guys. They helped me out with finesse fishing. And tip number one is limit your choices. I will take three different styles of terminal tackle. Most of the time, that's going to be a shaky head, a Ned head, and a weightless uh, Texas rig. For those, I choose three colors that I take with me for the bait that I'm going to use. I will use a green pumpkin, a black and blue, and a chartreuse. That way, if the water's a little more cloudy or a little more clean, I can vary it up. So, tip number two is have a casting routine. What I used to do was I would sit there and just fan cast everything. I'd go out and just bomb casts out as far as I could in every direction. What I have started doing so that I have a routine for when I go out, instead of fan casting everywhere, one cast each direction, and then move on, I will start facing down the bank one direction, make three perfect casts, and that's key. I have to make casts exactly where I want them, trying to make it a bit of a game, and fish that spot thoroughly three times. Then I'll go to a 45-degree angle and I'll cast out there, three perfect casts again. Then I'll move to a 90-degree angle from the bank, three perfect casts from there. Another 45 in the opposite direction, three perfect casts from there, and then down the opposite side of the bank from where I started and do three perfect casts. This helps me fish thoroughly through that section. It helps me train my brain to sit there and go, okay, we're on a mission. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to do it this way every single time. Because otherwise I will end up in a hurry. Finesse fishing is also like winter fishing. You slow down, almost not as painfully slow, but almost as painfully slow as winter fishing. Tip number three is picking your finesse. The finesse lures that I use all have movement. I can't do anything that doesn't, it just stands there straight up and down. I have to have something like that Ned head that's got some movement to it in the tail, like the Strike King Ned Craws. A shaky head. It's going to allow that bait to flop around as I'm moving it. And I can actually see that the closer I get to me or the shallower that I fish this. That will help out quite a bit, keeping that bait not quite moving like you would swimming it along, but just hopping it along, let it settle, count to three, move it again, let it settle, count to three. Unlike winter fishing, you don't have to count to 15. You just want to make sure that that bait hits the bottom and then hop it just a little bit. Now, if you are finesse fishing in the winter, that's where you want to stop and expand that time that you let that bait sit. Tip number four that I have for you is simplify your gear. If you have a spinning rod that you specifically use for your finesse stuff, get one of those and keep whatever it is that you are confident in tied up. If that's your shaky heads, your Ned heads, your weightless Texas rigs, whatever it is, keep that tied up at all times. If you need to switch up, you have those pre-tied on leaders and have those stashed in your tackle box pre-tied up on a leader so that all you have to do is go and tie that leader line on and back out you are. The more time you spend in your tackle box, the more time you're going to spend second guessing what you're putting on and second guessing the finesse itself. So try to have that stuff tied up and ready to go. For me, what I'll do is I will always have a Texas rig tied on, and that'll be direct to the line. I won't have a leader or anything on that Texas rig, but my Ned heads, my drop shots, which I hadn't mentioned, but I do use drop shots every once in a while, usually in the spring, or my shaky heads will be tied up with a leader and ready for me to do a quick connect knot and be back on the lake. I don't want to spend that time in that tackle box second guessing everything. Okay, so tip number, I think we're on 5 now, is control the noise around you. If you are easily distracted by noises or things moving around, get you some headphones. Put headphones in. If you're easily distracted like I am by movement, sunglasses and a hat with a bell on it so that you can kind of have that tunnel vision on your rod. Distractions are one thing that are going to mess you up all the time. And it's up to you to minimize them. Nature's not going to do that for you. Unfortunately, no matter how much I wish it would every once in a while, I have the attention span at times of a golden retriever or black lab. I'll be sitting here talking to somebody and then squirrel. And so I have to focus on things that I want out of the trip. And being able to focus on that can sometimes mean listening to an audiobook, listening to music, podcasts, putting a YouTube video on, and just listening to somebody on the YouTube video. If the distractions become overwhelming, this is where another tip that I mentioned in the winter fishing comes in. Set that rod down. If it becomes so overwhelming that you can't focus, reel it in, set it down, take a break for a little while. Collect your thoughts, collect your emotions, and then go back out. Fishing is at times frustrating for those that want things to happen right away with ADHD. And we're sitting there moving this bait really fast, and sometimes the fish just don't want something moving that quickly. Sometimes they want an easy meal. We have become conditioned to think everything has to move at our pace. It doesn't. Nature does not work that way. Nature's going to move at its own pace. So the distractions are something that, unfortunately, they're always going to be there, but we can minimize them. Okay, so my final tip and tip number 6 is have fun with it. Fishing is something that's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a game. Um, Go out and turn it into a game, if you will. See how many times you can make a perfect cast at a log or a pylon, or see how many times you can try and get that bait to skip across the water. Kind of like you would a rock. You know, as a kid, that was one of my favorite things to do, was try and see how many times I could skip that rock. Well, when I'm practicing casting with a new bait and I want to be able to skip it, I see how many times I can skip that bait across the water. If you're fishing summertime, how far can you cast? Can you beat your distance on a cast without a wind knot or a backlash? If you're using a push button, how far can you cast that without breaking the line? Because that's usually what happens with me with a push button. I end up trying to do a really far cast, it binds up and it snaps my line. But figure out something that you enjoy doing while you're fishing and use that as a game. It helps your mind stay focused. It helps you not get so bored when you're out there just tediously fishing like you do with finesse fishing and winter fishing. It's not going to be easy at first, but nothing worth it is ever easy. You have to work at it. If you enjoy going out and going fishing, if you enjoy your time on the water, find a way to make it fun. Not just, it's wintertime, it's cold, I can't go out there and go fishing because, well, the fish aren't biting what I want to throw. Step out of that comfort zone. Go out and buy a bait you've never used before. If you've never used a drop shot, or you've never used a Ned rig, or you've never used a shaky head, go get those things. Try them out. You never know what could become your new confidence bait. I'm going to give you guys some bonus tips here. Pick a rod that you're comfortable with. A lot of people say, oh, you want a 7 foot to 7.2 for this. I don't own but one rod over 7 foot, and it's my 7.3 frog rod. That's all I throw on it. Everything else is a 6 foot to a 5.6 to a 6 foot rod. I don't own anything over 7 foot but one that's not a catfish rod, mind you. Pick a rod that you are comfortable with, whether that's the Lose Speed Stick like I use a lot of. I'm not sponsored by Lose. I don't have any sponsorships right now because I'm a new YouTube channel. If I'm suggesting something to you, I'm not being paid for it. I'm suggesting it because it's what I use, it's what I like. Like the Do It Molds, the skirts.com or lurepartsonline.com. I go to the big box stores and buy these to turn into lures on the Etsy store that aren't junk. Like, that right there is too much play in that blade. I don't like that. So I'll change that up. There's no kink in this like there is on the ones that I have on the Etsy store. It's got a rubber band on it. Rubber bands are bad, they break. And in fact, all of mine will be coming with no rubber bands. Nothing on my store. Unless it's up underneath the skirt, it's not holding the skirt on. I hand tie everything. So the only way you're getting a rubber band from me is if it's up under the skirt to help poof it out. But make fishing fun for yourself. Find the things that you like. Fishing is not about listening to everybody else. Listen to the things you want, the things you enjoy doing. Make it tailored to you. I could go out and use the 7'2" rods, and if I was on a boat, maybe that would help for why I would want them. But I've hit too many crankbaits, spooks, and jerkbaits on rocks trying to cast with a rod that's over 6 foot. Because I let that line, when I go to cast, I kind of whip the tip of the rod. And it gives me a decent cast. That's the way I learned to cast a bait caster. And so that's how that happens. If I'm using a spinning rod, maybe I could get away with a much larger spinning rod, but honestly, I don't need it. I'm comfortable with what I've got. Hopefully this video helps you guys out. If it does, leave a like down below. I would love to hear from you guys and know if this helped you guys out. I'm trying to figure out some different content that I can do until after Christmas and the New Year, when I'm able to get out and go out and not just have the theory on this, but be able to put it into practical use and show the tips and tricks and be able to walk you guys through the way that I do things. So if you guys like this video and this style of video, let me know down below. I would really appreciate it. I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. And remember, guys, try not to be boring.